freedom. If financial freedom is anything that matters to you, then this is certainly the right place to be. If you want to retire early, rich and safely, then this is the right place to be. And over the past few weeks, we've been touching on quite a bit on this journey, and we established the structure for the series of lectures we've been taking. We did establish, first and foremost, that there are three phases we must, of a necessity, go through in our journey to financial freedom. Number one is personal transformation, and that's the totality of who you are becoming, right? Number two is income generation, planning, and application. And that's also very critical. I consider personal transformation as a foundation for wealth creation, foundation for financial freedom. But income generation, planning, and application is actually the pillars. Because if you're not making money, there's no way you can manage or multiply money you have not yet made. Okay, so it's important to make money, but it has to be set, it has to be built on a foundation. Good to have you here, ma'am. Welcome. All right. And then we went on to say the third phase is asset accumulation, optimization, and retention. In my book, Financial Freedom Master Guide, for those of you who already have it, if you have not read the book, I would recommend you read that book. If you don't have a copy, then I would strongly recommend you get a copy for yourself. If you are in Nigeria, you live and work in Nigeria, then you can place order for that book. Now, I'm just referring to that book because in a lot of ways, that is the textbook for this series of lecture we've been going through. And in that book, I established the framework for the book itself. The book is divided into three parts, and the three parts is actually talking about the three phases in your journey to financial freedom. And the first one is about being, who you are becoming. That's why I call it personal transformation. The second phase is about income generation, planning, and application. You have to be making a lot of money, right? You have to increase capacity to attract a lot of funds in your direction in order to be able to plan and apply them in right asset class or classes, okay? And then you need to now optimize the assets in order for you to constantly generate for you cash flow. There are people who are big on asset but very low on liquidity or no liquidity at all. I've been there and I've gone through, and I'm making a lot of adjustments also as well. And I've seen some of my mentors who have been in that situation, and we're making critical adjustments, to ensuring that you don't just have assets that are not fully optimized for cash flow generation. And that's why many of the things that I'm doing going forward, I'm stressing on cash flow generation a lot, right? Cash flow is the life wire and lifeblood of every enterprise, and it's the life wire and lifeblood of every family. So it's possible for you to be worth millions, if not billions, of dollars or pounds, and be low or have no cash flow. And it's very, very dangerous to be in that situation, because what that will force you to do ultimately could be that you will sell off all valuable assets you have at a ridiculous amount because you don't have cash flow in your your assets fully optimized to produce cash flow. And so that's the third phase. And in the course of this series of lectures, these are some of the things we will be touching. So what is the big announcement before I get into my lecture today? Because now we are gradually moving. And so let me quickly say this here. When it comes to this issue of personal transformation, there's no ending to it. As long as you're on this planet, you will need to constantly evolve. You need to constantly reinvent yourself. Life is not stagnant. Life is changing so rapidly. Life is getting more complex. The circumstances, the polity, the environment, things are changing so rapidly. So we also have to constantly evolve. So the issue and the subject of personal transformation has no ending. So as long as you are breathing, as long as you have life, you constantly have to continue to do that. So it's important I establish that here. So the fact that I'm moving on to the next phase doesn't mean that the end has come to personal transformation. Personal transformation is something you have to commit to. It's the invisible part that protects the visible parts, right? And that's my opinion, the most important thing, right? As you begin to grow and God begins to prosper you, expand you, you need to maintain a cool head. You need to maintain humility. you need character, you need godliness, you need all those things. And they are the things that will not only protect you in this life, but also protect you in the life to come. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a Christian or make you feel like, oh, this is a spiritual thing. But it's really spiritual. Money is very spiritual. And so it's important I put this out. So the work and the journey of personal transformation is a lifelong journey, and we never graduate from it. And you always ensure and commit to becoming a superior version of yourself again and again. But the second phase we're entering into now is about income generation. And I'm going to be dwelling on income generation for a while, for a couple of weeks. But before I get into that today, let me quickly establish here that in the month of October, the month of October is very packed, very, very, very packed. I have, for those of you who know, I'm also a business coach. I'm not just a wealth coach, but also a business coach. I'm also into real estate. So these are the three parts of me that a number of times people don't know. Some people don't know. Some people see one side of me. They don't see some other side. Some people even see me as a pastor. They don't see me from the business perspective. But whichever way an encounter you have with me, it's important I establish. And in the month of October, every Tuesday in the month of October, if you are an entrepreneur, or you know someone who is an entrepreneur, a business owner, or you are transiting into owning your business, I'm hosting what I call the Winning in Business series, and it's power packed every Tuesday by 8 p.m. Every Tuesday by 8 p.m. So I know this may be meeting you unannounced or impromptu, but you can adjust your schedule. If you're already in business, you can't afford to miss this. The series of lectures, and all the people I'm bringing are experts in their craft. They are experts. We'll be looking at systems that will help that will support your business growth. We'll be looking at, how to sell anything to anyone. We'll be looking at tax saving strategies, for your business. We'll be looking at lawpreneurship. We're looking at legal frameworks to protect your business and your enterprise. And then we'll be looking at, 5 simple, irresistible offers that business gurus, use to 10x their businesses. So you really don't want to miss it. And guess what? We'll also be having a business clinic. So every Tuesday, we'll be having this all through the month of October. But then again, on the 21st of October, I'll be hosting a business clinic. That one is a 3-hour long business clinic. And so I'll be hosting these two gentle guys, very powerful guys. They look unassuming, but very powerful. I know them personally, and I have personal relationship with them. We've done quite a few things together, and they have results. They've helped quite a number of businesses. And each of them will be looking at business. One will be looking at strategy for growth. The other will be looking at brand strategy. I won't mention their names. We'll be unveiling them one after the other. So the month of October is packed. Aside this, I also am the CEO of LifeBeat, and in my capacity as the CEO of the organization, I spearhead a lot of events and programs and strategy and direction for the organization. In the month of October also, we'll be hosting the Mega Housing Summit. It's also going to be a series of events. So every Saturday, so the first 3 Saturdays in the month of October, we'll be hosting that. And each Saturday is going to be 7 to 9 each of those days. And we'll be having amazing speakers. But the focus of that training and that program is on helping you understand land banking, and then of course owning your own home. So if owning your own home is an important thing for you, then block these dates. Now I know you have other things you may be planning to do, but please don't miss out on all of these. Okay. And then one good thing that I would really, really appreciate that you do, and it's in the best interest of anyone that you truly and genuinely care for, is that you let everyone within your circle of influence to also register and be a part of all those programs. Okay, so that's about that. Again, If you're not following me on all my social media platforms, make sure you do that. I'm on Instagram as Oladipupo Clement. I'm on Facebook as Oladipupo Clement. On TikTok as Oladipupo Clement. You find me on LinkedIn as Oladipupo Clement. You would also find me on YouTube as Oladipupo Clement. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you are missing a lot. Every Saturday, we post video content, right? Which, of course, anyone who is also already a member of my tribe of wealthy origin, then you also get the broadcasts every Monday. So if you are not a member of the tribe of wealthy origin, we have two categories. We have the basic and we have the classic, right? The basic is free for now, right? So you still have a lot of opportunities, but at least you can register on that. So if you are not following me on all of these platforms I've just mentioned, make sure you do. So I don't think I want to make further announcements. I think I've done very well in making all these announcements. So let's add some value. Making money is critical, especially in the times that we live in. All over the world, there's price hike, there's inflation, in fact, high inflation in some parts of the world as the cost of living is rising, income is rising. For some places, they are legislating laws that will ensure that employers and governments, parastatals are increasing income. In other parts of the world, like Nigeria and other parts of Africa, cost of living is rising, but the the income is not rising proportionately, and that's creating a lot of imbalance. So private enterprises, private employers, public sector are looking at making a lot of adjustments. Now, the challenge is, while it is important to cut costs and lower your expenses and lower this and lower that, it's also important to focus on expanding and increasing your income, right? Because like I often share with people, what it takes to fail is what it takes to succeed. It only requires some degree of commitment. So don't just focus on reducing costs, also focus on increasing income. If you are a business, whether you like it or not, at some point, the pressure will be much, from your team. They also go through things. They have families, they have obligations. So you have to cater for them. So you have to focus and begin to research on how to improve sales. And this is why you mustn't miss the Winning in Business series and then the business clinic, and of course, the mega housing summit that we are hosting. And we are hosting some very powerful and prominent people that many of you know. So don't miss out on any of these. Everyone's coming to speak are all experts in their craft. So we're not bringing, even though it's totally free, you need to register. The details for registration will be shared with us. Please make sure you share it with everyone within your circle. Let them get registered, and all will be well. Okay, so let's get into this. So making money is very important. And in my book, that's the chapter that is even the longest and the biggest, income generation planning and application. So let's talk about sales. So my focus over the next few weeks is really on sales. And listen to me. I know that the word sales positions you like a beggar, or makes you feel like you are stressing people or putting pressure on people. The reality is, it is sales that make the world go round. There is no economy without sales, right? And whether we are conscious of it or not, we are all in the business of sales. Right from cradle to grave, it is one thing we will do the rest of our lives. Okay, so selling is one craft that everyone must master. Part of the things, recently I was just asking myself, why are my children making these kind of decisions and all of that? My son, went to school and then sold his snack. He sold his snack to his classmates in exchange for money. And when he got back home, and showed us the money, it was a lot of money. And I thought, this thing is so cheap. How come you sold it to your classmates and got money back? It was so surprising to me, but it is one thing I've told them. If you take nothing to the market, you are getting nothing. There's no free lunch anywhere. I've told them this part of the things I'm doing, programming them also to recognize that you must carry value, you must distribute value in exchange for money. If you are looking for money, always be thinking, what am I going to give in exchange? What value am I going to give in exchange? What product, what service, what convenience, what ease am I bringing to the market? Once that is sorted, it takes care of many, many other things. So selling is what we will all have to do. When you were all born, you had to cry, you had to express yourself in a particular way, for your mom to know that, oh, at this point in time, you need breast milk, right? There's a way you sold yourself that showed that, oh, this time is time for this boy to poo and all of that, But again, when someone dies, you realize that somehow people gather together and organize for their burial. Now, that is selling. Even the dead person is selling even their grave. The point I'm trying to make is, selling is what we will all do the rest of our lives. And the more money you really want to make, the more impact and influence you want to garner in this life, you must learn how to communicate. You must learn how to sell. All right? The wealthiest people on planet Earth today are our salespeople, regardless of their title, regardless of the nomenclature, regardless of their role in their respective organizations. Selling is one key skill that will pave the way, and there is no AI that will replace that yet. Okay, so it's important that we recognize, because it's all about people and it's a business of people, right? And so if you don't know how to connect with people, how to network and all of those things, it's important you start finding strategic ways of making that happen. Even if you're introverted, you still need to interact with people. We're not created to remain in isolation. And if you really, really want to make the most of your life in business, in career, you need to learn to sell. And so if you don't know anything else, one skill that will forever remain in demand, right, is the skill, is the selling skill, your sales skill. Very, very important. So that's what I'm going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. I do not also want to burden you with too much content, but that's one of the key things that I'll be sharing over the couple of weeks in our Wealth Unleashed webinars. We are all in the business of sales, whether we are conscious of it or not. You cannot create wealth. And mind you, you cannot create wealth if you cannot negotiate or sell. You can't. You can't. Next is that selling converts prospects to customers and relationships to revenue. That's what selling does. So every relationship within your circle has inherent within them cash potentials. But those cash potentials can only be unlocked if you know how to sell. If you know how to understand the needs of people, you know how to recognize problems and find solutions for those problems, and know how to communicate it, then money will always flow in your direction. And listen to this, I must establish here that money flows in response to value and trust. The more valuable you become, the more money you attract. The more trustworthy you are, the more money flows in your direction. So people buy from those they know, like, and trust. And this is one of the most important. So any business model that does not work on ensuring that you are gaining attention and gaining traction, it means nobody will know you. And if nobody knows you, they have no opportunity to like you. And if they don't eventually like you, they don't have opportunity to trust you. And until they trust you, there will be no commercial exchange. Okay? And this is so, so important. So developing your interpersonal skills, developing your communication skill, problem-solving skills, selling skills, these are some of the soft skills. So no matter what it is you studied in university, no matter what it is you study in any school, if it does not cover these grounds, you are missing out on a host of things. So I want to share with us over the next few weeks on some critical facts about sales, about selling, okay? The first one is that the business of sales is about people. It's all about people. One book I read that changed my orientation, especially as it relates to business, is What Rich People Know and Desperately Keep Secret. What Rich People Know and Desperately Keep Secret by Brian Sher. The author of that book did mention in one of the chapters that business is whatever business, whatever industry in which you are primarily in the business of people, right? Even if you're a veterinary doctor, like I've often shared, you are still you are taking care of pets, you are taking care of dogs, cats, and all of that. But the people who make the decisions, the buying decisions, the who patronize you are not the dogs, are not the pets. It is the owners. And so you still are in the business of people, right? And in this category, you have consumers, you have customers. Customers are the people with purchasing power. The consumer are the end users. Sometimes the customer is not the end user, all right? And so sometimes the customer can also be the consumer. You know, some other instances, the customer may also not be the consumer, as in the case of a veterinary doctor. So as a veterinary doctor, you'll be your billboards, your campaigns, your marketing, every effort in attracting and generating leads and generating demands for business will be focused on people, right? But ultimately, the consumers will be the pets. If you run a crèche, you run a nursery school, a nursery and primary school, the customer will be the parents, but the pupils will be your consumers. So it's important to know how to position and all of these that we have said is the business of people, whether you are in education, whether you are tech, whether you are real estate, whether you are veterinary doctor, whether you are medical doctor, whatever industry, whether you're into retail, whether you are into you run a supermarket, whatever business, whether you're into manufacturing, whether you are into logistics and haulage, whether you are into farming, whatever business, recognize you are primarily in the business of people. And this understanding is very, very important. If you don't get along well with people, you will not do well in business. You will not do well in business. This is so important. This is so, so important. Number two, selling is about building and nurturing relationships. So if it is about people, then it means you have to constantly build that leads, build relationships, and then nurture it. It takes a lot. Now, let me be honest with you. Let me tell you honestly, right? Let me tell you honestly. My schedule is crazy. And I know some of us here on this call also, we have very crazy schedule. I know some of us here and I have personal relationships with you. And I recognize that, see, if I keep claiming I'm busy and I don't have time to continue to serve my network and serve my people, then you are losing. You are not nurturing those relationships. And it is the relationship that is being nurtured that will be valued. Whether we like it or not, every human being you know have what is called the emotional bank account. The emotional bank account is what we call EBA for short, EBA, all right? And everyone has an emotional bank account. Now, the degree to which you are contributing and serving people, the more they feel indebted to you, right? The more they feel indebted to you. So whenever you have offers, you have opportunities, they are more inclined to buy from someone they feel indebted to than someone else. And so hosting programs and doing things that serves humanity is also a way of nurturing those relationships. So you may not have a one-on-one session, but that group session, that moment by moment sessions that you've had, that's, once in a while, text messages, once in a while, WhatsApp broadcasts and all of those things go a long way in nurturing those relationships. So if you are in business or you really want to make a lot of money, you must learn and understand the place of relationships in your life. Guess what? You don't need everybody, but you will need people for different areas of the life. And that's why you can't afford to discard anyone. Even Yoruba people will say, Omo buruku no lojo retie. In other words, even the so-called rogue, the so-called rogue that you call rogue Omota, the bad boys, what they call them in the streets, touts and all of that. They also have their own contribution they make. So you have to treat everyone well because you never can tell. I recall that during the lockdown in 2020, there were some banks that were vandalized. There were shops that were vandalized. But we also had shops and banks and offices that were not vandalized, that were actually even protected by the same people who were vandalized in other places. And when those people were interrogated, they confirmed that the people who they protected were people who were good to them, right? So it's important that we build relationships and nurture relationships. So you must have a system in place that is constantly building your list for you. Listen, making income is not rocket science, it's about people, but you have to be very intentional. You have to be very strategic about that and look at what is it that you have that others may have need of. And that's pretty much what you do. Let me be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like some of the things I'm going to share, people already know it. I just feel like that sometimes. But some of the times I feel like, okay, what if they don't know it? Just share. What if they know it, but they need someone who will simplify it? What if they know it and they need someone who will elaborate or who will serve them a reminder? So for most of you on this call, you most likely, this is not the first time you are hearing something like this. But what I'm sharing here right now is serving as a reminder, and it's igniting a fresh decision inside of you. The year is gradually running to an end. In another 91 days now, we will say bye-bye to 2023. And there's still a lot of targets, income targets that are yet to be met by individuals, by families, and businesses. So it's important we continue to remind ourselves on all of these things. So recognize that selling is about building and nurturing relationships. Number 3, selling is about converting relationships to cash. Selling is about converting relationships to cash. Like I said earlier, every relationships within your circle, right, have cash inherent within them. Like I illustrated some years ago, that God forbid that there's a car crash and it involves one of us, right? And we place demand on each and every one of us. All of us will pull out funds. It tells you that the network that you have already has inherent cash within it. But you only harness it if you have some kind of emergency like that, or you have a value, or you have a value-adding product or service that will benefit a lot of people. Once that is done, and you have a relationship network that you have been nurturing, you have been building up, it will be easy to say, there's some opportunity here, and that's it. And when they have the means, they plug in. Why? There's a nurture, and it's easy for you to convert those relationships to cash. And some of us have powerful relationships. I remember, an elderly, a member of my family, they used to say those early days, that he has this relation, he knows this person, he has this person. And I was always thinking, when I grew much older, why don't you tap into this relationship? Now, you don't approach relationships from the perspective of taking from people. No. That's not the approach. That's not the approach that wins. The approach that wins is the approach that serves. The approach that wins is that 80% of the time you are talking about what can add value to their life, what will bring value to their life. So anytime you come, 20% of the time should actually be dedicated to offering them things that can pull out money from their pocket, but also bring value to their lives. So when somebody knows that you have their best interest at heart, there's no way they'll be more disposed to you. And it's important we recognize that a lot of people don't have such structure. So you have to be intentional, even as this year winds down. What are you going to bring to the market? And what leads, what network have you built that you can tap into the cash inherent in those within those relationships? So please take note of that. So selling is about converting relationships to cash. Now, sometimes what I've seen is that people place demand without having made deposit. Now, that's where the emotional bank account comes in. You don't, with no deposit, no withdrawal. No deposit, no withdrawal. Please type that in the chat room and drop that as a comment on YouTube. No deposit, no withdrawal. Most times, and this is where a lot of people make the mistake, even in business, no deposits, no withdrawal. No deposits, no withdrawal. Always recognize that it always starts with planting before harvest, not harvest before planting. It is planting before harvest. No deposits, no withdrawal. Number 5, or number 4. Number 4. If you have nobody who trusts you, if you have nobody who trusts you, if you have nobody who trusts and can vouch for you, right, you will hardly make sales. If you have nobody to trust you and can vouch for you, you will hardly make sales. You will hardly make sales. And this is simply because people generally buy from those they know, like, and trust, right? People have there's this sense of obligation, indebtedness, when people would, like, and trust sell to you. You feel like, it's often usually very easy, Unfortunately, a lot of us don't even have leads of people who even know us. They don't even know what we do. They don't know what we represent. So we don't have a brand, a reputation for certain things. And that's why you have to be very deliberate. So what does your social media look like today? What does the social media account look like today? Does it communicate what you represent, the value you bring to the market, the problems you solve, the needs you are meeting, right? If it does not, then you have a huge responsibility, okay? This is so important. This is so important. If you are not making enough money, this could be the reasons. You are not doing well in promoting what you represent, and then the value you are bringing to the market, the problems you solve, the questions you answer, and all of those things. It means that you're not doing a lot of that. And if you are doing a lot of lead generations, you are generating a lot of leads, but you are not nurturing those leads. It will also take longer before you are able to convert those relationships to cash. So it's important to recognize this. There's something I'm going to share with you here that I'm not doing. There's nothing I'm sharing here that I'm not doing. I practice them again and again, and it produces. It produces. If it's not producing, there's no way I would even have the confidence to even share this with you. So before I eventually documented all of these things in the book, I saw that it produced results. Okay? Let me quickly say this. Let me say this. How many of you on this call right now are in business? Let me see your hand. Just type in business, in business. If you are in business, you run a business. Just type, you run a business. Type it there. You run a business. Type. If you're in business, you own a business. Please type you own a business. Even if you run it part-time, right? Or if it's a side hustle, like some people call it. I don't believe in side hustle, but even if you call it a side hustle, a part-time business, type it in the chat room. You own a business. I want to give you a secret. I want to give you a secret. And I really, really want to give you a secret. And I am desperately in love with people who want to grow their business. My life calling is to see people. I told people that I said, when Life Page started, we call it, our rider then used to be the brain box for your business. The brain box for a business. So it was Life Page, and it was to be a life wire, a link, a connecting bridge between people and success in their career, in their finances, in their businesses, right? It was later on we metamorphosed into a real estate company, and I decided to pull out, that element into the OCI brand, which is what I represent, okay? And I still use that also to feed the system. But let me give you a secret. Whatever business it is that you are, recognize one thing. You are a media and tech company that is in that industry. I'll repeat that again. If you are a chiropractor, you are a medical doctor, you are a finance executive, you into a susu, whatever, when you're into real estate, you are a carpenter, you are an auto mechanic, you are an engineer, you are a builder, you are a contractor, you are a trader, whatever business it is you do, understand that you are primarily a media company, a tech company that is into trading, a tech and media company that is into real estate, a tech and media company that is into finance. It's important. You know why? In this age and time, right? Visibility is critical. And you have to be the first and number one brand ambassador for your business. So you do a talk. I was consulting for a business, an auto dealership, recently, and I said, you know what? Come out every week, do a podcast, right? Create a podcast, create a content around when people buy cars, what are the things they should look out for? So I have to understand the dashboard. Many of us even use cars. We don't even know what's the lights, some lights that come on our dashboard, what it means. So I said, do something like that. That's media. The tech part is you can automate a lot of processes with a lot of technology. There are plenty of technologies that you can subscribe to that can put your business on autopilot. You only create it once and then it sort things out for you. I said, now, how many people have you served in this business, for example? And he told me over 1,000 people have bought cars from the auto dealership over the past, maybe 2 years or 3 years or so, thereabout. And guess what? I said, do you have a database of all the people that have bought? Do they get content from you from time to time? Do they get messages from you from time to time? This is very important. and you say you don't have money, you don't have sales. Every time you are always looking for new customer, but you are not serving the old customer. You are not giving them things that will serve them. So this is very, very important. You are a media and a tech company that is into your industry. This is so critical. This is so, so important. So I believe I've made some sense. Let me give you one more, and then we'll continue next weekend. Now, number 5, people who buy the highest from you often take time to buy. People, your premium, your premium clients, your high-valued clients often take time before they make buying decision. So when they are going to make huge investment or huge purchase from you, they would have studied you and track you. Now, it doesn't mean it can't happen without taking so much time, but that would just be the exception, not the rule. So, but the rule is that people want to do big time businesses with you, often want to understand your conduct. They want to see your track record before they go all the way with you. And this is so important. This is so, so important. All right. So understand that, so that when you are having some sorts of delay in people making buying decisions, you want to evaluate what's even their financial capacity. Somebody was going to buy a property from us recently, and we've had all sorts of discussions, but I recognize also that the deal is not a joke, it's not a small deal, right? It takes time. It takes time. And so you have to nurture it, you have to take your time, and you have to also ensure that that's not the only person you are talking to. All right. So such that even if the person ends up not doing business with you, you are still in good relationship with them. You see, this buy from me is not a do or die thing. Whether you buy or not, we are still in relationship. And nurture it, you never can tell. You never can tell what will happen. Okay, so this is so important. So, but understand that people who do the biggest deal with you most times will take their time before they buy. I believe that this has been helpful one way or another. I still have a whole lot more, but I've made up my mind. I don't want to stretch this Saturday edition of Wealth Unleashed webinars far too long. Let me quickly make this announcement. All of you on this call are on this call mainly because you are either in my tribe or within my network. Maybe you've registered for a program at one point in time, or you belong to the tribe of Wealthy Origin. And I'm grateful you made it to this meeting. And I want to believe that this has been helpful. Please watch out. In January, first week in January, I'll be hosting something I have never done in that manner before. Now, this is me. A lot of people who go into business with the vision of finding freedom. Unfortunately, a lot of people start the business and then they get trapped. And then it appears as though they've guaranteed everybody everything. They are not guaranteed anything. So a lot of business owners are worn out, are burnt out, are tired, and they feel drained. They feel, used, nothing, especially if you operate in Nigeria. And so, gleaning from my personal experience, gleaning from many of my studies and research, I'm going to be hosting a Financial Freedom Challenge in the month of January. The first week in January is going to be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Please mark that date, mark your calendar. Now, it is not free. There's a free version, right? There's a free version. There's another package that we have. There are 2 different other packages, but I will not give you all those details yet. By the time we meet again, I'll be giving you all the full loads, and I'll be sharing the links and that with you. Now, if you take advantage of it, there are other benefits that comes with it. So I'm going to be working with this program is specifically for entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs, career people who are looking to transit into entrepreneurship later on, or people already existing business owners. Those are the people who benefit. If you're also a coach, you're a consultant, then that is also going to be of great value to you. So don't miss out on any of the programs, because there will be a lot of opportunities that we'll be presenting in the course of all of these programs. And I look forward to hosting you. Please, if you have any question, it's time to take your question. Thank you very much, everyone.